And it is important that we, as people in the community that have this knowledge, that we share this knowledge. I tell people all the time, I do a wealth of things. I'm a real estate agent, I'm an insurance agent, I have a nonprofit organization. You know, I could be at the house. Professional as well. In my position, I learned just starting with taxes, how people come in to get their taxes done, and then they leave out and have no knowledge of what's on the tax return. Someone asks them a question, oh, they just did it. Same thing with our insurance policies, whether it be homeowners insurance, automobile insurance, whatever type. We don't ask the questions, so they put down whatever they think that we want. If we say we want the cheapest, they're gonna give us the least expensive, and that's the coverage that we have. And until we know or have a claim, like Ms. Deborah says, we're not gonna understand what we have. And then we wanna say, that person, they gave me that policy. You know, but they just gave you what you asked for or what your pocketbook could afford. And sometimes it's not all about the least expensive. It's about what the coverage is going to be when I need it. And so I want to thank you all for having me here today. The thing I want to talk about is homeowners insurance for our seniors after paying off the mortgage. Now, I want to ask you all, how many have you worked hard to pay off your mortgage and to enjoy the freedom of owning your home outright? And now you're enjoying that freedom, you don't have a mortgage, you're like, whoo, that mortgage is done, I can drop this insurance policy, I don't have to pay that anymore. And some people think they don't even have to pay taxes when the mortgage is paid. And it's just a lack of knowledge. So they think that, but we want to make sure that people stay covered. After you've paid the mortgage, you've worked so hard for 30 years to get that mortgage and have a mortgage burn. You make a copy of the mortgage and then you go out in the yard and you burn the mortgage. And you're like, thank you, Lord. I lived to see this last payment. And now you can take that $400, $500, $600, $700 and apply it to something else. That homeowner's insurance is very much important. It's so important. I know we've had some windstorms come through here lately. Those shingles start flying away. Somebody's tree fall on your house, or your tree in your yard fall on your house. Who's gonna pay that? Who's paying for it? You. And it's coming out of your pocket. And that's an expense that you are going to have to incur immediately. It's not something that you can wait on depending on the severity of the damage. You're going to have to get that done immediately. So now you have to come up with those funds. But keeping that insurance policy in place, even after the mortgage is paid, you sit down with someone that have knowledge of homeowners insurance and what you need. You have to do an assessment of your property. What's the value of it? You know, find out what the value of your property, and there's so many ways for us to find that out. Just go down to the Montgomery County Tax Assessor, go to the tax assessor's website. They'll tell you what they deem the value to be and how your taxes are being paid from that. So those are the things that we want to do. Even though the mortgage is paid off, your home is still your largest assessment and it needs protection. Homeowners insurance covers the risk such as fire, theft, vandalism, or natural disasters. It can also help with liability coverage in case someone is injured on your property. Do you know if somebody's injured at your home, that's your responsibility? If I break my leg at your house, slip coming out the door, I'm going to be looking for you to pay for those medical bills. But if you don't have insurance, you're not going to be able to do it. And then we're best of friends, and now we're going into another level. Now I have to sue my friend because I got medical bills and I fell at her house. And those are the things that we want to make sure we have protection. Protecting your home and belongings, even if the mortgage. Even though the mortgage is paid off, your home is still your largest assessment and needs protections. Homeowners insurance covers the risk of fire, theft, vandalism, and natural misconceptions. I don't need homeowner insurance anymore since the mortgage is paid off. This is a constant, common misconception. You still need insurance to protect your property from unexpected events and cover the cost of repairs and replacement. And like Deborah was saying, you got to know the language on what to say when you're dealing with these insurance companies, because this is the second time this week I've heard that statement made. If you don't have the right language and you don't say the right things, it's not covered. And you paid this insurance for so many years, and then to come up with a claim for them to tell you something is not covered, that is just hurtful. It is hurtful. Another homeowner insurance is too expensive. That's why now I'm on a fixed income. And sometimes our seniors are on such a stringent fixed income that they just can't afford that extra $2 or $20 or $50. It is true. But then you have to remember the asset that you have, that home. If something happens, if you think you can't afford to pay for it now, what happens then? So that is something you have to try to figure out. How can you put something to the side to be able to do that? Now, what you need to look for when you are looking for homeowner insurance: dwelling protection, personal property coverage, liability coverage, medical payment coverage. These are the things that you want to look for when you're looking for homeowners insurance. And some places have flood insurance. And you can also get a home repair service coverage. Like some insurance company bundles that up, like if you have some home repairs, like the water heater, the furnace, or something like that. And you can also buy those policies separately. And again, it's the same thing as your homeowner's policy. The language that you use when you get ready to file a claim. I've done help property manage some properties, and sometimes they have this homeowner's insurance on it. And just giving an example, if your stove go out and there's certain things that you say about the stove and how it's not working, they'll say it's not covered. Same thing with the water heater. I just put a water heater in one of the properties, and you want to have this coverage to help you, but then they come with all of these things, what's not covered. And those non-covered things are just as much as the water heater. It's like, things like that. And those are the things that you can trust. Now, when we talk about handyman, sometimes we have to be careful and make sure that they are good, solid, especially our seniors. And, I love you all. My mother's 84 years old, and she's a proud 84-year-old. And, we have to be careful with our seniors, and our seniors they're so vulnerable. Our seniors are so vulnerable in allowing people to do certain things. So we have to be careful when we are allowing these people to come in our home to help us. Now, how do you choose the right homeowner's insurance? This is how you choose your policy when you're sitting in front of an agent. And we have enough people in Montgomery. We have enough insurance agents right here in Montgomery. And you can call down to the insurance commissioner's office and find out who's property and casualty, who's life and health. But we have enough people right here in your local area that you can walk to their door and pull their door instead of calling an 800 number, somebody that you don't know. And I encourage that. I work with seniors all the time. And I get so many that come back to me and say, well, they called me and said A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and I did. And they call me like on their knee, Ilana, please, don't be upset, don't be upset. They've gotten themselves in trouble. And then we've had to go and try to figure it out and help them. Even if you have to go to more than one to see, okay, I got a quote from this person, let me go over to this person. But try to deal with someone locally that you can look in their eyes, that you can see what their environment is, where their office is, what's going on, and get a sense of security that you have somebody there that you know that has your best interests. So when you get ready to do an assessment to find out which insurance coverage is right for you, you want to assess your home value. Make sure the coverage is enough to rebuild in the event of a disaster. You always want to make sure that you have enough coverage on your house so you can rebuild if something should happen. Shop around for different quotes and coverage options. Look for discounts available for seniors. Look for those discounts. Ask the questions. Do you all have senior discounts? Do you have automobile combined discounts? Ask the questions. And you probably hear enough on TV that you can get a little education from TV to be able to go back to those people and ask those questions. And when you get a quote from one place, just take that quote and go to another place and get that quote and come back and combine and see which of the two give you the best coverage for the best dollars that's going to take care of your home. Speak with the agent who understands the unique needs of you, especially when it comes to affordability and specific coverage. Now, some of the takeaways I want you all to have: your home may be paid off, but it's still the biggest asset. Make sure it's properly protected. There are affordable homeowner insurance plans specifically designed to ensure that you have a peace of mind. Now, after working so hard on your home, the last thing you want is for an unexpected event to interrupt your security of having a solid foundation. Now, we want to make sure that not only when you're talking about the home insurance, some people have older property and they haven't done anything in a few years. In order for you to get the insurance properly insured, you're going to have to probably put some money in if you have wood rot, if you have things peeling, certain things, your roof is a certain age. Some of those things the insurance companies look for to either say, we can't insure you until you get these things fixed. So I would say be proactive. And I always tell my people, we don't only need to do a health checkup once a year. I have my clients come in every year or call me. Once I tell my clients, when you've seen me once, you've seen me twice, 3 times or more. I can do things over the phone. I can look up and research things before you come into the office. But you want to come in and have that initial visit so you can see where the office is, who I am, and build a relationship with me. But then for your home, you want to be proactive, and let's look at things that you can do. And by me being a real estate agent, I'm always looking things with the buyer's eyes. So I look at things as if somebody's going to buy this property. Do they want to see wood rot? What about the roof? How old is it? Does it have any grains on it? Is it slick? Is it wood up under it that's sinking in? So you want to get somebody to do an assessment or to help you, the kids, somebody, one of your grown adult children, they can go up there, or, you want to make sure they're safe, but, get somebody so that can help you where it's not going to be cost, and then start working on one piece at a time. Don't try to take it all, well, I need a new roof, I need new fascia, I need new this, I need new that. And then when you start thinking about that, all you hear is cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And then you just break down because you say, I don't have the money to do this. I can't afford to do this. My check is only this amount. So you start breaking down. And then when you break down, what happens? You don't get it done. So just take one thing at a time. If you're going to do paint, just do paint. If you're going to just do the wood, just do the wood. Just take it one step at a time. But we need to make sure that we have our homes protected, because we get those windstorms. We had a couple of them last month, or this part of this month. We had a couple come through, and if the shingles come off, and then you got water coming in your house. Now you got to go find somebody to go fix it, find somebody to put a cover on it. And if you don't have insurance, you know what's going to happen? That cover is going to stay on there. And when we pass your house, we're going to say she got some roof damage because she got that blue tarp on her house. And we don't want that in our community. We want you, when you bought your house, you was proud of being a homeowner or becoming a homeowner. So you want to continue with that. You want to continue with that, keeping your house up, and then being able to have that house aired down give it to your grandchildren, to your children, whoever you want to will that house to, and you want it to stay in the condition in which you bought it. So please, don't second guess homeowners insurance. Do anybody have any questions concerning homeowners insurance? And we are able to help you if you need any help with, understanding or getting a policy or whatever it is, that just some understanding of what is it that I need to do. And anybody will give that to you for free, just to understand that. Okay, well, that's good. We have no questions, so I must have did a good job. So I appreciate it. Now I'm going to go into something, another passion of mine is, and it became something to me during a time that I didn't know. Really, as I grew up, my mom always said, I have New York life insurance on you. I'm a teenager, I'm a young adult. I'm okay, whatever that means. I lost my daughter at the age of 4, and I was probably 20-something years old. And I had insurance on her at my job, but I didn't know anything about having insurance on my children. I thought it was just an adult thing. But after the loss of my daughter, I wound up making sure that all of my children had insurance. Now, a lot of times, I'm going to go into talking about life insurance. I have spent years helping families secure their futures and today. And I want to talk about something that directly impacts you and your loved ones, life insurance. A lot of times we shy away from life insurance for some taboo reasons. Oh, don't put no insurance on me. That means I'm probably gonna die soon. Some crazy things that we say, and we have said in the past, but now, life insurance needs to be when they come out of the womb. Not when they're 2, not when they're 3, 5. It needs to be on them. You should already, you're getting ready to have a grandchild. You're getting ready to have a child. You should already be somewhere that when that child is born, you have coverage on that child. Because you don't know the day nor the hour when something is going to happen. I would have never dreamed of. I prayed for my daughter. I had a boy and I wanted a girl, and I was done. I prayed for her. God blessed me with her, and 4 years later, she was gone. So you want to make sure that you have life insurance to be able to, not that it helps you to carry on, but it gives you a little bit, you can do a little bit more. The grieving, you have the grieving, but when you have life insurance on your loved ones, you can take care of things. Our seniors, I have seniors come to me and say, I just need $15,000 worth. I just want to make sure my kids are not burdened with putting me away. I don't need a whole lot, just a small little policy. And sometimes that's all it is, just a small policy, just to have something to ensure that your children are not having to take out of their savings. Or, you already know that the children are living their own lives. They have mortgages, they have car notes, they have children. Now I have to take $15,000 or more out of our money to put mom away, put dad away. We don't want to put that burden on our family. We want to make sure that we have sufficient coverage. And as little as it may be, some people don't even realize, some of these teenagers out here, you can have $500,000 coverage on them and it costs you $30, $40. And I am serious. We don't realize, and there are different types of insurance, and you want to explore those different types as well. So we have you have the whole life, you have the term life, you have different insurance that you can get on your children. But I tell people, if you can't afford a whole life policy, get something. A term policy is better than not having anything at all. And I overheard Pastor say he was in the insurance business. And he said he wished he had stayed there. Because if you're in the insurance business, you know how many people you can help just by being in the business, that they will listen to you. And as a pastor, first of all, we listen to our pastor. When our pastor tells us to do something, we are obedient. And if he tells us to do it, we're going to start investigating and trying to find out how we can get it done. And even if it's a small policy. But we want to make sure that you protect your family from financial burdens, funeral costs along the range of between $8,000 to $15,000. Without a plan, the burden falls on the family. Life insurance can help the unpaid medical bills, the mortgage balance, provide extra financial security to your loved ones. If you get a policy on your children or yourself or however you may do it, if something should happen, that money can help the burden that's put on that family because of that loss. So we want to make sure that we protect our family from that burden. You can leave a legacy. Some of us want to leave something behind for our grandchildren, our church, or a cause that we care about. Life insurance can make that happen. You can put that as your beneficiary. If you want to leave money to the church, you want to leave it to a great cause, you can do that on your policy. You say, hey, my kids are good. I know they're financially sound. Whatever the case may be, you get a policy, you can leave. If there's extra, just like they were talking about in the will, you can leave that and outline, I want this amount to go to my church. I want this amount to go to the organization. So you can do that. Now, some of the common myths and misconceptions of getting insurance, I'm too old to get life insurance, that's not true. There are plans designed specifically for people up to age 85. So you can get a plan. And the thing is, the older you are, the more expensive it is. That is true. But you probably can still find something that's affordable. So the thing I ask, it's not about how much do you want, how much can you afford? So if you say, I can afford $50 a month, then we're gonna look and see how much $50 a month will give you. It may be $8,000. You say, well, that's good. I'll take that because that's all I need. That'll do, and I'm sure they can probably pick up the rest. but you will have something to kind of offset whatever it is the cost may be. And sometimes, in the community, sometimes the funeral homes will see, and they will give you a discount, give a family a discount because they only have this amount, and they say, well, hey, just add another $2,000 to it. It's normally $15,000, but she's been a pillar in the community. He's done so much for the community. We want to make sure that your loved one is put away very well. So just go ahead and do that. So we want to make sure that you do something. Now, some of us want to leave something behind for the grandchildren and, put that part in whatever it is you want to leave for the grandchildren. They have final expense is one of the policies, a final expense policy, where you don't have to have they don't have to do draw blood. They don't have to do a physical exam. Whatever your condition is, whether you have a chronic illness or whatever it may be, you can still get covered because it's called guaranteed issue expense, And the final expenses covers the funeral and some other small things. Your guaranteed life insurance, they don't ask any questions about your guaranteed life insurance. I gave you all a handout about the homeowner's insurance, and I think it was some information about the life insurance, so you can kind of figure out what amount of life insurance do I need. Think about if your home still has a mortgage, the mortgage needs to be paid off because somebody else is going to have to pick that up or they're selling. If you wanted to stay in the family, put that in the will. You wanted to stay in the family, but leave enough behind where they can pay it off. So you want to just ease some of these burdens up from the family members so they don't have to be burdened with some of those things. And there are a lot of different life insurance, whole life, that means for your entire life. So you get it today, you'll pay for it until you pass away. They have term insurance for our young people. If they're young enough, you can get them a whole life and it'll be inexpensive. If they're older, you can get 30-year terms. You can do that on yourself. Some people, they can't afford they get a 5-year term. And then when 5 years up, they'll get another 5-year term. If you can get a 20 or 30-year term, that's better than not having anything at all. Term insurance is one of the least expensive insurance that you could probably get, besides accidental death and dismemberment. Now, at our office, if you come into our office, we will give you for the first year, a $3,000 policy, and it's free. It don't cost you anything the first year. Then after that, it's $10. And it's $3,000. That could be added on to something else that you already have, but it's $10 for the year. Now, they have accidental death and dismemberment policies. That means that if your death is deemed an accident, you get double. So if it's a $10,000 policy, you get $20,000. And it's very inexpensive. But I do not recommend that to be your first policy because it's only in an accident. Even though I don't know the statistics, but I've been told that more deaths are deemed an accident versus a natural cause. So, but you cannot just rely on an accident and dismemberment policy. You always want to combine that with a term policy or a whole life policy. So it's something for you to think about, something for you to just put in, put it out there where you start getting quotes and stuff like that. So it's the whole life, the term life, universal life, variable life, index universal life, final expense, guaranteed issue. And most of the time when you're working, you have group insurance. And that group insurance costs you like $2 at the job. $2 or $3 is very inexpensive at the job. And if something were to happen, your family would get that policy. So I just want to make sure that, like I said, I tell my clients, we do a wellness checkup once a year. I just go through whatever they have, whether it be health insurance, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, renter's insurance, whatever it is. You need to not take these policies and put them away for 20 years. Every year, look at it, because even on your homeowner's insurance, my homeowner's insurance was $5,000 a year. Do you think I want to pay $5,000? I don't know. Way too much. So I do the same thing. I shop. When you see something go up, you shop. You shop and see if you can get a better rate for the same quality service or equal value. But you cannot shop if you don't check it out. But once every 30 years, once every 10 years. So look at your policies. Look at your policies and see, what's the difference? The taxes went up, okay, that affects my insurance. What's the policy from last year to this year? Did it stay the same? Did it go up? If it went up, look at another carrier and see if that carrier can give you a better rate with the same coverage. So I just want to make sure if you all have any questions, I think I had some literature that you all can reach out to me, some cards back there. Do you all have any questions I can answer for you now? Well, I just want to thank you all for having me, and I hope you all learned a little bit. And if you need some additional questions answered, I will continue to be here. Thank you all. Oh, I have a question. Okay, my phone number is 334-492-2486. And my office is, if anybody know where Roscoe Miller radio station, the eyes and ears of the community, we're at 2424 East South Boulevard, right over there where the Church's Chicken is. We're right there, been there for 20 years. Thank you all so much.
And she has cards in the back, flyers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marie. That's invaluable information. Our next presenter, Robert Morgan, serves as the Chief Property Maintenance Inspector for the City of Montgomery, Alabama. Mr. Morgan has over 30 years of experience in specializing in property preservation. His responsibilities include property maintenance and code enforcement for our city. Let's welcome him.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate that accolade. I almost forgot how much experience I have. She dated me, but that's okay. First of all, I'd like to explain to you where my experience comes from. As Deborah so eloquently put, I have spent the last 30 years in the property management division working for independent companies. I spent 15 years working for HUD. And let me just say to you, everything you think about HUD red tape, everything is correct. It takes a battleship to move in the ocean to get HUD to make some simple decisions that you and I can make in an afternoon. So with that, I have been in this position with the city for 30 days. I just made my 30 days yesterday. So be careful with me, I'm still delicate. So, but I was in the capacity with the city helping out in a different fashion as a community liaison person, because I understand both aspects of it. I think the doctor so eloquently put, if you don't keep up a neighborhood and you don't take care of your neighborhood, your housing values will sink, not just from an insurance perspective, just from a valuation perspective. So I've taken this position on to try and adopt that philosophy of trying, how can we partner with communities to increase, or at least at the very minimum, maintain the current values. I was at a community meeting last night, and after the community meeting was over, I probably spent a half hour with individuals just talking about that said thing. It's a term that Montgomery doesn't have, but where I'm from in California, we have a term called good neighbor. And that good neighbor means that you're responsible because your parcel is attached to mine, of how you keep your property, of how you go about the business of being a good neighbor. I'll give you guys a quick story before I get into this. When I was growing up, my mother made it mandatory that I cut Miss Johnson's, Miss Barbara's, and Miss Paxton's yard for zero pay. The reason being is because my mother was being a good neighbor. And those individuals had gotten to a point in their lives when they could no longer cut their grass. Let me give an example. Age myself again. When I cut grass, we didn't have pull mowers that had gasoline operated. We had that little thing that you push that was mechanical. And if the grass was wet, well, you kind of know what that looks like. So the moral of that story is everyone was responsible to each other as far as the community is concerned. And I want that to be the theme, the takeaway, because I heard that probably with 5 different people in the north side of Montgomery about the community is being in a state of attack from those individuals who don't care about their property. So I'm gonna just kind of go through that. So what our department does is we do nuisance complaints. Those complaints are called into 311, and 311 does an excellent job of deciphering what your complaint is and routing it to the correct department. So if you call 311 today and say, hey, I've got some people out here in front that are just hanging out and I don't know who they are, 311 will route that to the police department, and the police department will take the call for service and they'll come out. Now, some of the things I heard last night is that they don't want the police department to come to your address or ring the doorbell and say, hey, you just complained about those people in Point. You can do this anonymously, and you can say, I don't want the police to come up and ring my doorbell for the issues that I'm concerning. Same thing with nuisance complaints. They will not come and ring your doorbell and ask you, do you want to be involved in the issues? They will just route it to the correct department, and then they will go out and deal with it. Same thing like our department. So our department has 6 individuals that manage the entire city of Montgomery. And those 6 individuals are inspectors that we do calls for service for anything from abandoned vehicles, overgrown trash, litter, junk, and trash in the yard, like we talked about, houses that need to be either boarded up or repaired. So our department does that. The other part that our department does is we do commercial demolitions and we do residential demolitions. Not sure if you guys saw the governor's house, old governor's house, is finally on the ground now. And I know a lot of people are like, thank goodness, and there's a redevelopment plan for not only the governor's house, but other locations that are commercial properties to get new investors in to start revitalizing some communities. As I indicated, the key here is housing values and how can we make those housing values go up. And it's my understanding and interpretation that anytime you bring in a new business, you bring in foot traffic and the revenue sources that the surrounding communities will benefit from a property value standpoint. Now, let me stay there. I was on a panel, the economic panel, trying to figure out how can we get young people to come back to Montgomery? Why are young people going to Huntsville, Atlanta, Mobile, and other places, and they're bypassing Montgomery? And I don't think anybody has the answer. I will say this, that if I'm a 20-year-old, 25-year-old graduating from college, I want the best opportunity that I can to start my family. I want 1, a clean, safe community that I want to build a family with. 2, I want a job that can help pay said mortgage so I can buy insurance and personal insurance. But 3, more importantly, I want to know that the community around me is growing. So from that perspective, if I'm a young person trying to make the decision after college or after the military, or whatever you decide, where you land matters. And if I drive through some of the communities that I drive through right now, I might bypass some of those because of the vacant homes, because of the people who live out of state are not taking care of their properties, because of the litter and junk trash and junk vehicles are posted on the front yard. Those are some of the things that my department is trying to address aggressively. So as I indicated, that we're dealing with the commercial demolition, but we're also attacking the residential demolition. Now, here's my challenge. So I want you guys to understand what we're dealing with. So I've got over 600 structures in Montgomery right now that need to be demolished. Over 600. I can't just go in and tear them all down, because then when I created these holes in the communities that people start illegal dumping, there might be transients, residents, that might, come in and put mattresses, because we get that now, and they start to live on them. So it's got to be done in a strategic manner that we take the ones that are graded the highest. So in other words, somebody's broken into one, and I think you might see these, where they use candles in there to get out of the cold, and the entire structure burns down because they don't put the thing out. Then my department has to come in, hire a demolition company to come in and take that structure down. So those are some of the things we're trying to strategically map out of how we do that. Now, currently, right now, we have 60 that the city council has approved this year for us to start doing this demo process. What I assured everybody in this room is we're going to look at this from a strategic standpoint and make sure that when we take these structures down, we're going to continue to monitor these structures so we don't have the illegal dumping and the trespassing on these properties. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do, as well as there are probably 15 other commercial sites that we're going to address as far as demolition or redevelopment. So there's a flyer in the back, and this flyer is about a quick access to the city departments and which department does what. You don't necessarily have to do that. If you call 311, 311 will route you in the correct department so that you can get your issue logged and concerned. Now, when your issue comes to my department, I've got 72 hours to get an inspector out there and make a determination if there's a violation or not. And that's important from this perspective. You call and say, hey, I see something going on at this property. My inspector will then go out and make the verification if what you say is valid or invalid. Example would be parking on the front lawn, car that parks on the front lawn. You see it because every day you're at home. By the time my inspector gets in at 8 o'clock, 8:30, he gets out there, they're going to work. So when he comes out there looking for a car that's parked on the front lawn, can't verify it. And I know that's unfortunate, but that's the situation that we can only verify what we can see. Now, here's the good news. I had a meeting with my staff and said, I want to adopt a Saturday, maybe one Saturday a month, to address things that we can't see when our office is closed. I would tell the whole group, I got pushback. Oh, if I work Saturday, that means I'm working 6 days a week. Yeah, but if we do it once a month, or once every other month, it allows us to see what you see, which is you're at home on the weekend, and whatever activity is happening on the weekend we can't see during the week because they're at work, we can capture some of that information. So I will tell you, we're trying to develop new ways, new thought processes, so we can capture some of this information. Now, when a person gets a notice, now nobody wants to get a notice for this reason. Yeah, I want to complain about my neighbor, don't send me no notice. The other thing is what I'm asking my staff to do is not necessarily get tunnel vision going to an address. If I get an address, 123 Happy Lane, what I want my inspectors to do is, in driving, you've got to get to 123 Happy Lane. So everything you see on your route to get to 123 Happy Lane, you make 15 stops. That's being very proactive instead of reactive. We want to be extremely proactive because the only way that we're going to serve you in the best way we can is that the inspectors have to look at it from a totality perspective and not just tunnel vision going to an address. So we're trying to address that as well. So once you get a notice, or if you get a notice, this notice is in regards to the municipal code in chapter 12. Now, if anybody wants to see what all the codes are, the ordinance where we are, you go to our website under city government, under inspections is where our department is. It will show you every single ordinance that we deal with. Now, we don't deal with chickens, that's zoning. We should, because I could collect some eggs, expensive as eggs are. But we don't deal with that part of it. However, we will assist. So one of the things somebody brought up last night at the town hall meeting is, what do you do with a donkey? There's a donkey in North Montgomery that somebody has. There's no ordinance that they can't have a donkey. So for us, we go out, we verify, yep, that sure is a donkey. And it's sure behind the gate. But there's nothing in the ordinance that says that this person cannot have a donkey. So what we'll do is there's no issue with that donkey. The ordinance has to change saying that you can't have a donkey within city limits in order for us to be able to deal with it. Another example. One of the questions came up last night is how many vehicles can an individual own in a residential neighborhood? And the answer is as many as that can be verified that they run and they're registered with the DMV. There's not a specific number of vehicles that you cannot own. That's a car lot. However, you cannot run a business in a residential neighborhood. Car lot is exactly it. You can't run a business. However, there's nothing in the ordinance that says they can't have 5 cars as long as they all run, the tires are inflated, and they're registered. Now, what my agents will do is they'll come out, ask the person to pop the hood, start the car up, and drive it on the street. Because the ordinance says that the vehicle must operate on its own power on city streets. And if it doesn't, it's considered a junk vehicle. And then we can get involved in that. So I just want to kind of give you guys the pathway on what you can ask for. Yes, ma'am.
Driveway, they have 5 cars, 3 in the driveway, 1 on the grass, 2 on the street, 1 in the house. What about the cars parking on the street? The sanitation people can't hardly get by.
We just dealt with that last night. So one of the things we work in collaboration with is let me go back to your first part of your question. If anything is on grass, we cite it for a junk vehicle. We give you 10 days to move it. If you don't move it, the tow truck shows up. And when the tow truck shows up, any fees for you to get that car back is on the person who owns the vehicle. So we will tow those off it. Now, 10 days. However, most people go around the rule by putting aggregate where the car is going to park. So one of the things we have to also take into consideration is the people who are parking close to their front door may have some physical issues that they can't walk from the street to the front door. So we take that into consideration. If they put any kind of gravel, any kind of aggregate and border it, they can actually park on the front lawn. I mean, on that aggregate, not the grass. But as far as the city is concerned, as far as the streets, cars on the street, that becomes the police department because it's the right of way. We don't have access. Now, what we will do is we will log those cars and say blue Honda at 1, 2, 3, 5 lane and give that to the police department for them to come by and tag it. So we work in conjunction with them. However, we don't have the authority to address vehicles that are on the right of way yet. Okay, so again, back to this notice. So once you receive a notice from the city, you have 10 days to what we call abate. And in that abatement period, whatever that notice is for. So example, let's say it's tall grass over 12 inches because you have to cut it. We'll give you 10 days to hire somebody to get it cut. Now here's the best part. We'll have to give you our agents that we use to cut it. And say, hey, look, call our guys to cut it because they're familiar with cutting it. They can get out and cut it fast and give you an economical price. Or you can hire somebody of your choice, family member to cut it. The challenge is to abate it, meaning that you have to remove the nuisance. And if you do not remove the nuisance, then you show up before city council, your address shows up before city council for them to vote on. I can't move until the city council approves me to do any activity. So if it's anything from a commercial demolition to grass cutting, city council approves everything that we do because we can't spend taxpayer dollars until the city council says, yes, this is an issue and the owner has not complied. And so therefore you guys can move forward. Now, last month, I think we sent 400 items, individual parcels around the city to the city council meeting for items for them to approve. And the challenge is it's expensive. It's expensive for the tax dollars to be spent in that area because right now it's concentrated in 3 districts of where most of these challenges are from a non-compliance perspective, right? And this gets back to what I was saying about the community has to be more of a community and holding each other accountable for these issues and help where necessary, because that's going to be vital for us to move forward. Because if I'm spending all my resources in just 3 districts, trying to make sure that they keep those areas clean, that means that there's, 6 other districts that are not getting the service that they require. Maybe not from a residential part, but I will tell you guys, Walmart is notorious for getting dumped on behind their buildings. Every Walmart. I don't understand what that is with Walmart. Maybe they didn't upset some folks in the past, but people take their trash, litter, and junk and push it off of their vehicles behind Walmart. So we are in constant communication with Walmart to clean it up. So when somebody pushes that off onto Walmart, it's not the individual that did the illegal dumping we go after. We go after Walmart. And the same thing like with regular parcels. But regular folks are like, hey, I'm working. I think the doctor indicated I'm on a fixed income. Somebody goes and pushes a tire and a mattress on your property. Unfortunately, we send you the notice. And it's really unfortunate because we know you're not throwing it out, but it's somebody in the middle of the night that pulls up to your parcel and pushes the stuff off the truck. And if somebody calls that in, we have to respond to whatever said issue is. Yes, ma'am.
There is a property off the field rest, that's on field rest court. And this man is worse than Fred Sanford.
Okay.
I'm not exaggerating, y'all.
Is that the Fred Sanford with the Lamont's son? Okay. Okay.
She's a member of our association, and she says he moves it. Like to bring something to the front and then move the front to the back. But you said, can you all tag that?
Yes, we can. It sounds like he's got some mental situation or disorder that's happening. Unfortunately, we don't deal with that part, but we have several issues where we go and we'll clean up. So we've got several issues around Montgomery. We'll send an abatement agent to clean all the debris that this individual has collected. We take it away, haul it to the dump, and a month later, we're back at that same address for the same issue. So the only thing I can equate that to is that there's some kind of psychological thing that's going, some hoarding that may be happening with this individual, that he needs to do that. If you give me the address after this, I will make sure that we get by there and take a look at it. Okay, perfect. That's even better. You're gonna show me the pictures.
Brother Morgan, there's a hand over there. We've got to remember that people on Facebook cannot hear you unless you're in the microphone. So, Brother Morgan, if it's a short question, you can repeat it.
Okay. Yes,
I
ma'am.
have something that really irritates me, it's the apartment buildings in my neighborhood. I pick up trash in my neighborhood, I'm not the only neighborhood that does. But the apartment buildings, I'm wishing they don't have a manager who picks up trash. You know, litter, they litter, the tenants litter, and it's just left. Is it your department I need to call about that?
Yes, ma'am. So the question is, if you live next to an apartment building and the tenants, oh, so you walk. Okay, so if you live in the proximity of an apartment complex and the people at the apartment complex dump litter, garbage, and trash out, yes, you would call us. We have probably 5 apartment complexes that have that same issue, that same challenge. And it's not just litter, junk, and trash. It's raw sewage that may be coming out of the apartment complex. It's the building itself. It's abandoned units that they're not living in, where doors are open. Homeless are breaking into and living in. So the apartment complexes, at least, the ones that we're dealing with right now.
They're not large complexes, they like 4 units.
Okay.
Maybe 6 or maybe 8, some, most of them are 4 units. But it's as if they have no one who picks up the trash. So I would think the owner is responsible for that, but I can call you off.
Yes, so even regardless of the size, whether it's a 4-unit building or a 167-unit building we have on Norman Bridge Road, call us. Call 311 and we'll have an inspector go out and take a look at it. But you are correct. Yes.
I have a question, and I need some help.
Okay.
I've been living in my home, my husband and I, for 51 years. And in 51 years, we've never had this. Next door to me, young men have moved in.
Okay.
And what has happened, I've never seen it. The backyard, you can't hardly walk in the backyard. There's 9 pit bulls back there. 9 pit bulls, jumping fences, running around, barking all night long. And the grass, the bottles, everything in the backyard. I've gone to the association president, the councilman knows about it, and the police must know about it. What kind of help can I get?
Okay, so with that, there's 2 things we're going to do. I want you to put that request in the 311, but give me the address before I leave here today so we can track it. Again, like I said, 311 is how we base all our calls and do our statistics. But in a situation like that, I want the address so me and the commander can work on that. Also, animal control. I'll give you an example of what we've had before. We were ready to tow a vehicle because it was a junk vehicle. The gentleman tied his pit bull to the bumper that had puppies. Tied him to the bumper when we were coming with the wrecker to be able to tow it. So what we did is he thought that was going to be a deterrent. So we waited on animal control to come out and take the mother and take the puppies, and we took the vehicle. So the challenge is that I know people do things for different reasons. Pit bulls are probably a dangerous breed, and if one of them hops the fence, there's no telling what they're going to do. I've been chased by one already and trying to do the job since I've been in Montgomery. And it shocked me for days because had he not stopped, I didn't know if I was going to have to bite him back if he had bit me. So with that, I want the address from you, and I promise you that we will address it in a fashion from a nuisance perspective, from a loose and vicious dog perspective from animal control, and from a police department perspective, because it is unsafe for the community if one of those dogs were to get loose and bite someone, specifically a child.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Mr. Moore, ladies and gentlemen, I've been advised that we want him to finish the presentation and then we ask all our questions. And I'm not cutting you off because I've got 3 myself.
Gotcha. Okay. So again, one of the things I want to mention is about our city notices. So when you guys look and you say, well, wait a minute, I've been looking at this for a while and there's nothing happening. What is the holdup for demolitions? So if you see an abandoned home in your neighborhood, what we do is we go and assess the structure and figure out if the structure is deemed to be structurally sound. That means that it's not in danger of falling in on the walls. It's not a threat to public safety. And what we would ask the owner at that particular point is to board it up. And if they board it up, then we're satisfied with them boarding it up. However, the new ordinance is what we want to do is board it up and paint it the same color as the building so it kind of blends into the community. So an example would be if it's a brick home and it's red brick, paint the boards red brick is what we're asking them to do. So it looks as though there was some intent to it to do that. Now, if it's a demo, we have to give them due process. That due process is 45 days. So it does not happen. So if we see a new demolition, we have to notify all interested parties, all people. So we have to do deed research. Who's involved in it? Did somebody pass it on to a grandchild? Did a company own it at once? Did they sell it? So our deed research period is 45 days. So you may call it in the beginning of March, but we won't necessarily in effect have any jurisdiction over it for another 45 days. So I just want everybody to be sure on that. Now, the nuisance stuff is 10 days. They've got 10 days from the date they received our letter to abate said issue. And if they do not abate it, then we assign it after city council votes on and approves it to abatement agents. And those agents do everything from cutting to junk removal, like we talked about, to towing vehicles, to demolition of projects. So, Pastor, we can get to the questions. Just wanted to make sure we're clear on what it is that our department does. And again, that handout in the back talks specifically about what the inspection department does and the ordinances that we abide by under Chapter 12. Okay, so I can take any questions if you guys have any questions.
I'm going to pass you the mic so that everybody can hear you that's listening. We had a few listeners on Facebook.
Okay, my question is, how do you report the blighted homes in the neighborhood? There are at least 3 in my neighborhood that they are boarded up. No one seems to be, taking care of it, the maintenance part of it. During the summer, some of the other neighbors having to cut the yard and that type of thing. And I know of one of the houses, there's some mattresses that's out in the yard and that type of thing. How do I report this information to you? And the next, got a couple of things. One at a time, okay.
So through 311, I'm asking everyone to use 311 because it is our recording house and it's how we capture what we do on a daily basis. So if someone says, hey, why are you here? We got a nuisance complaint about this property through our 311 system. That's why we're here.
Okay.
Okay, just 311?
Yes, ma'am, through
Okay,
the city.
okay. Thank you for the update on the governor's house, and I'm hoping that, since they in the process of redeveloping that area, that we will get our drugstore back. So if you know someone that can pass that information on, that would be certainly be helpful.
Absolutely. I will definitely pass that on.
Why did it take so long for the governor's house?
It took so long for the governor's house, and I'll just be very candid with the entire group. The governor's house had an ownership interest that filed an injunction to stop the demolition. Now, I'll tell you, the governor's house has been sitting there for 10 years and nobody said anything. Said a word. As soon as they saw those bulldozers out there, stop. So it's one of those things that, as long as it's sitting there and the person who had some ownership had no ownership to redevelopment. But as soon as we get ready to tear it down, I want to keep it, I want to do this, and I want to submit a plan. That's why most of the structures are in the same condition, where an out-of-state owner owns it, and they don't have any obligation to the city of Montgomery because they don't live here. So for them, it can just sit there in perpetuity and just sit there and do nothing while it's being broken into, while the homeless are living in it, because that's what the governor's house was. As a side note, on the governor's house, we had to do some other things just because of the smell once we tore it down. And the local neighbors was like, you guys got to do something about the way this smells. It's just the fact that the homeless had been living in there for a long time. Same thing like on Eastern Boulevard. Hotel over there was the same way.
How are you dealing with absentee landlords in terms of residential property? They're buying up properties. Some of these are nice properties, but then they're letting them go down, grass growing up, and just not doing anything to them. It's messing up the neighborhood.
So let me tell you what we do. What I indicated, the out-of-state owners, local ownership, doesn't matter. They get a notice from us. And if an abatement agent goes out there and performs any activity, whether that be cutting the grass, removing litter, junk, and trash, we put a lien on the parcel. And that lien on the parcel could be anywhere from $500 to $15,000. That parcel cannot be sold, transferred, or anything else until the city recoups the taxpayer dollars for them having to do that. And if it's multiple times, then it's multiple numbers that it puts on the parcel. But we will address it again through 311. If you see that, call us. And if we have to deal with it, then our abatement agents will go out there, clean the grass, cut it, and we'll make sure that the neighborhood stays in compliance. Somebody else in the back there?
I own some property in, it's a trailer that I have my brother-in-law in, and he has a bunch of pit bulls. And right now, I just came from the tax assessor's office. My husband died 2022. He deeded the property to my nephew. Now, my brother-in-law claims he owned the property. I rented him the trailer that's on the property. I've been trying to get him out he has these pit bull dogs. He's saying he's not getting out. He claimed he owned the property. But I went down today, he does not own the property. And I'm afraid to go to the house because of the pit bull dogs. So what do I do?
Okay, so I wouldn't go to the house because of pit bull. Did you hear my story earlier about me being chased by pit bulls?
To the lady, and I said, I'm in the same
No way.
situation.
So in that situation that I'm hearing you say, it sounds like it's a civil issue. If you're saying that he doesn't own the property, but he's got
No,
a
he
trailer
does
on,
not.
so you're gonna have to evict him off the property. So you're gonna have to file court proceedings to get him legally removed from the property.
Yeah, he's claiming that he owned, but I went down there and found out the situation, that he does not own the property as he claimed. And, I got it where, the nephew owns the property. I own the trailer that he's in, and he also a sex offender. I found that out.
Nice. So I would say that's a legal issue, and it's a civil issue. You're gonna have to file legal paperwork like a tenant landlord to evict him from the.
Yes, I'm afraid to death. He has sent me a letter telling me he's gonna charge me $250 a month, which I have here, for him being there on the lot in my property. That is crazy.
It sounds like he's trying to exert squatters' rights.
I've been out all morning.
It sounds like he's trying to, do you have a legal agreement with him, a lease or anything like that?
Yes, I gave him a lease for 6 months.
Okay.
I did not know he was a sex offender, and looked like he's trying to, I'm an elder woman that's 71 years old, and looked like he's trying to threaten me with this property. He sent me some bogus papers, which I took down to the Texas today. They told me it's bogus, that he does not own it. And I just been at my wits, and I'm afraid now.
So I would advise you to go to court and have him served with eviction papers.
Yeah, because they told me these papers that I have is not liquor that somebody drawed up from him.
Yeah.
They are not, and I'm just, I'm afraid to even go that way because the dogs, and found out he's a sex offender, and when I rented, gave him at least 6 months ago, I did not know all of this.
So you can hire a process server to deliver that paperwork to him, and you don't have to go on the parcel. And I would advise you do that. So not only just for the dog, so you guys don't have to have
He has
any
about 5 or 6
interaction.
of those pit bull dogs, and I'm so afraid of him. And he's sending me these letters. I don't know what to do.
You can also dial 311 and tell animal control that these dogs are loose or dangerous, and they will send animal control out there to look at
And they tell me that it's waste. We own the house next door, and this waste that's running from the water line that these dogs, I don't know for sure, but it's nothing I can do about it if it's waste down there, because I'm scared.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So again, the takeaway from that situation is 311 for animal control, and then you're going to have to file eviction papers and have him served with that. Just go through the courts to get him legally evicted.
Okay, I thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Is there another hand?
Pastor, I thought you said you had 3 for me.
They answered 2 of them. I think. In terms of business property, we've already called the city 2, 3, 4 times for the store that's right here that has all kind of activity. When I turn in to come here on Sunday mornings, sometime before 8 o'clock, and our secretary who runs the technology is here at 8. Before 8, there's a line at that door. Now, I'm from Wetumpka. My dad ran a juke joint. I know about bootleggers and everybody else. The folk who are drinking bootlegged liquor don't get to the door at 7:45. They've shut the store down 2 or 3 times. It's very nasty there. So our trustees have made our complaint. We need something a little bit stronger to happen. I know they've closed it a couple of times, as well as the little business across the street. And it's not about closing, it's about decency.
Right.
It's nasty. The parking lot has tremendous holes in it. There's trash in the street. As you can see from the old health department building back here, unless somebody's throwing paper out of the window, our church cleans our property, the apartments clean their property, but that property is almost always nasty, not just for us. It's Rosa Parks Avenue. We name it after one of our heroes, and then we've got this nuisance at the intersection that has been there. It changed hands, and it got worse, because when I saw the Indians in there, or I think they're Indians, it has just gone farther down with no maintenance. And it's almost like the city is telling us, you've just been there 30 days. We hadn't filed in the last 30 days, but it's almost like they're telling us they're gonna let that business run, even though it's nasty all the time. Is that right, Brother Stoudemire? You pass by it every week.
Okay, so let me say this to you guys. There's several options that we can do with that business. One, do they have an active business license? That's the first thing. And if they have an active business license, are they selling alcohol out of that business? So there are certain things we can do to stop having them have an alcohol license. Now, as far as the nuisance is concerned, as far as the amount of activity, we just got a new police chief, and I heard him say to the community in North Montgomery last night, he is going to do everything humanly possible to increase his officers' participation in the city of Montgomery. I'm gonna hold him to that, Pastor. And I'm going to give him the address and talk about exactly what you just said today, that this has been a nuisance for a very long time. And it's a vagrant to the community, and we can connect and have a conversation with the owners and give them 30 days to clean up their act. If not, they could be called before the city council to be removed from the community.
I was wrong. I did have one more.
Okay.
This is a high-tech age. So I watch my aunt's property, her front yard, her backyard on my phone. 24 hours a day, whenever I pull it up. Why don't we have cameras when we know we got all this ugly activity? I did ask the city, and we did get a camera because the guys were speeding, racing on Court Street there at Edgemont Court. Some of us want to live in this neighborhood, and I'm one of them. I bought a home 27 years ago. I didn't want to live on the east side. I want to live right here near this church because I knew I'd be here every single day, almost in the week. I purposefully bought a house in Hart Estates, magnificent neighbors. The only thing I hate is over the last 27 years, people trash our neighborhood. We cut our grass once a week. If they're my auntie, she cuts hers 2-3 times a week at 97. That's her exercise. But you get my point. Why aren't we using more technology? For instance, we know that's been a problem because it's been shut down 2 times. Why isn't there a camera there?
So the city promotes Star Watch. Star Watch is the ability for the police department to view through that, to your point, from a technology standpoint, any illegal activity, speeding up and down the street, loitering, those kind of things. It's not mandatory for companies to participate. It is highly suggested that they participate. And my understanding is if you don't want to participate in Star Watch, then there's something going on in your business that you don't want anybody to see. That's just my opinion.
Let's follow up then. So if we participate because I don't have anything going on here, I don't want to see. How can we have cameras and do, I think we actually started Star Watch, but how does the neighborhood participate? Is it the association? How would that work for neighborhoods who have issues?
So Star Watch is, the beautiful part about it is if I want to put cameras on my house, I give the police department access to those cameras. It allows in their investigation to figure out license plates, individual faces, for them to do that. You don't have to be a business. If you have a camera system and you want them to tap, now let me give you this part. What I've heard is, I don't want the police looking at me. They don't look at you. They only look at during a particular time when an activity is happening. Let's just say it's a race up and down the street.
Right.
And a car crashes in the person's property and they drive off. They'll go back and look at that point in time and see if they can get license plates to the individuals that were involved in it, not necessarily looking at your home. Okay. So Star Watch is a good thing because it allows the police department from a technology standpoint to do their investigation. So Star Watch.
I live right on the corner of 3 different streets. And I live at the bottom end of the stop sign. They never stop. Good. I have cameras in my house. Is it possible for me to hook up with that?
Yes, ma'am. So you'd have to just go to the city website, police department, and say that you want to be a member of Star Watch. They'll come out, they'll add something to your cameras. It's a little recording device on the back of it. Again, I want to emphasize, it's not to view you, but to view incidents. Got it. But it will capture people kind of going through that stoplight without stopping.
Okay.
So I'll tell you where I know they are. They're, I think, Eastern Boulevard, they're Vaughn. If you run that light, it will take a picture of your license plate and it'll automatically send you a ticket. The Star Watch, it doesn't cost you anything, no.
I just want to reiterate on what my pastor just said. I never told him, and I never told anyone. But on Sundays, I'm afraid to go home. I go home that way and I come from my home that way. But I'm afraid to go down this street.
Mhm.
I am. Sometimes I go around, all the way around to make it safe for me. And it's very serious here. We are seniors. We want to come to church to worship in safety.
And you should, you have that right.
And my question is, will the chief of police come up here and guard me past that stove? Will he come and guard me past that stove? What he do after that, I want him to guard me past the stove.
No,
It's
I heard him say he's going to do everything humanly possible to protect the
I hope
citizens.
that he is listening.
I didn't hear him say that last night. But I'm sure he is going to want to engage with you guys and figure out where the challenges are to be able to pastor, address some of those issues, not only for your congregation, but for the other individuals within the community. Because throughout Montgomery, these kind of situations exist. There's one street in particular, which I won't name, that I know that there's drugs that are being sold out of a home that they're currently investigating. Can't speak on it, but I have been told that there's undercover operations in order to try to shut this particular drug house down. So again, I applaud the police chief for coming in and trying to take a very aggressive role in trying to resolve some of these issues. But I will say to you guys, in all practicality, it's going to take him some time to get to that point. Anything else? All right, well, thank you for having me. I sure appreciate the time. And you guys will look forward to my crew trying to be in the community. And the other part that I didn't say is part of what we talked about, which is we're trying to educate those individuals. So this particular property owner that has the issue, we're going to do our best to educate before we actually implement some things that will be, in opposition to his business. Okay? Thank you, guys.
Let's give him a hand. I'm thanking you also for your questions because I know that you have some burning issues on your heart, things that affect your community, your homes, your residents. It's very important that we know there are resources out here, especially with our city, trying to address these issues. It's very, very important. I have a barking dog next door to me, but I'm on the phone. People said, we didn't know you had a dog. I said, I don't. And so, first of all, I want to give a special thanks to two ladies that are sitting all the way in the back who got your signatures. These are fellow parishioners of mine from Resurrection Catholic Mission, and they follow me and they help me, and I would not be able to do this without their service. And so Ms. Johnson and Ms. Cheryl Shannon, thank you so much. I also want to thank all the staff and the support that we have received here at Mount Zion, AME Zion Church. And I want you to give them a big hand. I want to be just like Miss Heard when I grow up, because she's all over the place. I also want to thank our co-sponsors. The luncheon was provided by Councilwomen Riley and Johnson, and they are so supportive of this initiative across not just their districts, but the entire Montgomery community. If your church or an organization wishes to have a similar event, let me know. My information is on the flyer. AbideWell, 360 LLC. My name is Deborah Neal. You can find me through social media. You can contact Maggie Street Community Development Corporation, one of our nonprofits that's also a regular co-sponsor, and we appreciate all our co-sponsors. And I want to give them special recognition, not only our city council members, but Maggie Street, Dr. Ilan Marie, caring for Citizens of Alabama. We appreciate her support and sponsorship. The University of Alabama, A&M, and Auburn University Extension Centers are also very active in this whole space. They host events all over the city. So if you want to check their websites to see when they're going to be having more events, because they just told me they're going to be having another one on April 1st. And so you can contact the law school, or you can contact the extension centers and find out where these events are. In addition to that, on April 11th, you have to have an appointment. If you need a power of attorney or a life care planning document drafted by the lawyers and the law students, you can contact the law school and see if you can get an appointment to do that for free. That's amazing service. I hope, call Jones Law School and get an appointment for April 11th, if you can, for legal documents, not a will, but a power of attorney or healthcare directive, okay? And they're doing that by appointment only. It's gonna be at the Juliet Hampton Morgan Library. And that's where they're going to be. And so they'll probably provide more information. We have all your email addresses and we have phone numbers, so we'll make sure that you will be reminded of that resource. Let's see. I hope I am not forgetting anyone. Again, this has been amazing. I want to thank, of course, the probate court, Judge Love. He's amazing, and he loves doing this. He likes empowering you with knowledge, because you will know how to conduct your affairs with this knowledge, right? Right. This work is also supported by the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture, based on a grant. And so I want to give them a hearty thank you for their support for this event as well. Now, does anybody have any questions, comments? I thought the law school was going to be here to give you a survey, and then they had forgotten about that, but they do have your contact information in the event they choose to send a survey to you for your completion. I hear no questions. I see no hands. Well, Pastor, will you please dismiss us in prayer? And thank you so much for all that you do.
Lord, we thank you for the wealth of information that we have received. As always, we pray that you would go before us. Keep us in your care. Help us to be the best citizens and the best people we can be in our communities. We thank you that you are with us. We ask you to give us good success as we go forward addressing the issues that we've got to address. As we dial the 311 and reach out to the city and the county, we thank you. You'll give us good resolves, and that our communities will be much better than they are even now. In the name of your son, Jesus, thank you for Sister Neal, who has orchestrated our gathering today, and for every participant who offered needful information for us. We ask your blessings upon them. In Christ's name, amen.